everyone, today is going to be a bit of a different video from what I normally do. I know I do a lot of like 3-look videos, but this is going to be a bit different. So this is going to be a collab with my friend Melissa Gold. Melissa is an Australian YouTuber. I've been watching her for so long and I don't know why we didn't really start talking until just recently because she is amazing. And it's not even funny how similar our content is. Like, we basically do the exact same thing on our channel. So she does a lot of 3 looks 1 palette videos as well as reviews. She does a lot of tag videos. She doesn't get ready with me. So I mean, we're basically the same channel. So I just figured it would be a good match. So that is why we are doing this collab. And also what we are doing today is that we are doing 3 different looks inspired by 3 different places that we have been to. It can be countries, it can be city, whatever it is. We realized that we both have actually traveled quite a bit in our lives and we visited a lot of different places, and we thought it could be kind of fun to just do a little bit of a story time, if you will. I don't know like how much of story kind of video is going to be, but just chatting a little bit about the places that we are taking inspiration from, what the inspiration for the looks is coming from, and yeah, I think that's basically what we are going to be doing today. So if you have not already checked out Melissa's channel, please go ahead and do so. I think you guys are going to really love her. She is such a sweetheart. I love her so much. So today we are going to be doing 3 different looks. So like I said, it's going to be a long video. I've also had a little bit of wine, so if I'm extra chatty in this first look, that's probably why, because I don't really ever drink. Except for when I get a weird craving for wine, which is not very often, but today happened to be that day, so yeah, let's just get into this. So for this first look, actually, let me start by priming my eyes with my MAC Paint Pot in Soft Ochre, and I thought while I do this, I will kind of tell you where the inspiration from this look is coming from. So my first place that I want to take inspiration from is actually going to be London, because I have been to London many times, and something that happened in London was actually a very big episode in my life, and I want to share that with you guys. Some of you might be new from Melissa's channel, and some of you who are already on my channel might not know this, but I used to be a professional poker player. So let's rewind a little bit because this might be a bit of a long story. If you haven't already watched my story video, I will link that up in the corner, but it's a bit of a downer, so you might not want to watch that. But long story short, I used to play professional poker for a while, probably for about 13 years or so. I started playing online poker when I was 15, and yes, you're probably gonna say, oh, well, you're not allowed to play at 15, so okay, let's backtrack again. So I was born in Norway, okay, and I started playing online in Norway when I was 15, so you obviously had to be 18 there to be able to open an account and play for real money. But I didn't play for real money in the beginning. I signed up for an account and I started playing for play money, which is what they call it when you don't play for money at all. And I did that for a while, and then eventually I ended up like entering a free money tournament where I won $9, and I used those $9 to kind of build up a bankroll on that site. And by the time I turned 18, I actually had a lot of money in my account on that site, and just I've been doing really well in online poker in general. So I actually dropped out of high school, which is not something that I like to tell a lot of people because I'm not a very educated human being, but you know what? We can't all be like book smart. It's just how it goes. So I dropped out of high school to play poker, and like I said, I've been doing really well at online poker for a long time. And I decided that I wanted to start playing more live tournaments. Since I had already turned 18, I was able to play in casinos in Europe. So I decided that I wanted to go to London to play in this big tournament called the World Series of Poker Europe, which was a huge tournament. It was the first time they had ever held that tournament in London. So the buy-in for this tournament was a lot. I don't even really want to talk about money. I hate talking about money. I hate talking about this kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's like, this is something that I'm really proud of, that I want to share with you guys. So basically the buy-in or the entry fee to this tournament was £10,000, which I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous, and I thought so at the time too. So I decided to ask some of my poker friends, if you will, if they wanted a part of my action in the tournament. So they actually backed me for 50% of the action, so I bought in for like half of that, and I ended up playing the tournament and I ended up winning it. So it was kind of a big deal back then. I was the first female to have ever won a World Series of Poker main event, so this was like pretty big at the time. So I became kind of, I don't like the word famous, but people knew of me in the poker world after that, if you will, and it also ended in me getting a sponsorship with a big European poker site. So it being in London, they were based in London, and this made me kind of come to London a lot. So I have been to London probably, I don't even know, 20 times maybe, and it was also pretty close to Norway. So that's why I want to use London as my or I guess England, as an inspiration for this first look. So the colors that I have chosen for today's look is actually going to be all singles because I want to dig into my singles collection a little bit more. So these are the colors that I've come up with. I will put a picture of the names of the shadows and the brands on the screen for you, so I don't have to take these all out, you know, while I'm doing my looks and stuff. But these are the shadows that I want to use, and the inspiration for this is basically poker, obviously. So you have like red and black for the hearts, and the, you know, the deck of cards you have red and black. That's pretty straightforward, I feel like. So that's where those are coming from. And for the greens are basically like symbolizing like the poker felt, like the poker tables, and I feel like the gold is kind of representing like the success that I had in London. So that's kind of where I wanted to go with this. Plus I just thought it was a cool color combination. So that's what we're doing, and I've already primed my eyes like you saw, so I don't need to say that. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and start off by taking this green shade right here into my crease. So like I said, I've been to London quite a few times, but I want to kind of share one of the experiences that I thought was really cool that I had in London. So like I said, I ended up getting a sponsorship with a UK poker site, and for my, was it my 21st birthday? I feel like it was my 20th birthday. I think it was my 20th birthday. They actually hired a limo for me, like a big Hummer, like a pink Hummer, and they took me driving around in London with a lot of my friends, and we ended up at the London Eye, is that what it's called? Like the big Ferris wheel, not even a Ferris wheel, it's like a, what do you call it, like observation wheel or something like that. They took me to that big wheel with a lot of my friends, and they had actually hired like a whole, what do you call that thing that you sit in? My brain is like blanking right now. I'll put up a picture of the screen, but you know those things that you kind of stand in and then the wheel goes around. So they hired a full one of those, and they had like snacks in there, and they had wine in there for us to enjoy, and we were basically in that wheel for like a whole hour. I think we went 2 laps around, or 2 rounds in the wheel, and it was such a good time. It was such a unique experience, and not something that a lot of people get to experience. So, you know, I've been very lucky in my life. I've had a pretty easy life, I'm not gonna lie, especially like the first 20 years of my life were kind of a breeze, except for I sucked at school, but that's a whole different story. But, you know, I've been very fortunate to be able to travel a lot and see a lot of places, meet a lot of people, and just in general not really had, you know, a lot of really hard times in my life. So I'm very grateful for that, and it's something that I definitely don't take for granted at all. But I also know that talking about this stuff sometimes it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, because I don't want it to come off as if I'm bragging, which is why I don't really ever talk about my past a lot on this channel, because like I said, I have had a pretty privileged life, if you will, and I don't know, I've done a lot of things that a lot of people would dream about, and it's hard for me to like share that stuff, because I don't want to, again, like I said, come off as if like I'm better than someone else, or just because I've been to places or done things that a lot of people haven't done, that, you know, for whatever reason, like I am better than, because that is just not the case at all. So that's why I haven't really shared a lot about my life story and such, but I feel like it's important that you guys kind of know where I'm coming from as well, if you know what I mean. I am also going to go ahead and take this shadow and put it down to my lower lash line as well. So another thing that I've done in London is I took my mom to a Broadway show there, and I've been to some Broadway shows in New York, which I absolutely loved, but my mom and I went to see Lion King in Times Square, and it was, wait, no, not Times Square, that's not what it's called. It's called, I had to look that up, I think it's called Leicester Square. So that's where we went to see Lion King, and honestly, I think that I like that Broadway show more than the ones that I've seen in New York. Now don't get me wrong, the ones I've seen in New York were really, really, really amazing as well, but there was something about the atmosphere in London, and I don't know if it's just me, but every time I go to a show like that, whether it's a Broadway show or sometimes even a movie, but I just get really emotional. I don't know, like I always tend to start crying, or not even, like I try to hide it, you know what I mean, but I tend to always get really emotional when I'm at shows like that for some reason. I don't know why, but that's definitely how I felt when I saw a show, because I was so blown away by the acting and just like everything about it. Like it was just such a well-made, well thought out, the actresses were really good, the singing was great, it was just such a good time, and my mom had a good time. We both really, really enjoyed it, and it's like one of the most fun things I think I've ever done with my mom. It was such a good time. Have you guys ever been to some kind of a Broadway show? I would love to know, because that is something that I would love to do more of. I've been to New York now 2 times and loved it every single time. It's such a great city. I freaking love New York so much, and every time I've been there, I've gone to a show, whether it was with my mom or with my husband, but it's just so much fun there. I freaking love it. I'm starting to think I've been there 3 times now. I completely forget. That's another thing. My memory is so bad, so for me to do something like this where I have to like remember stuff that's happened to me in the past, it's like, it's really hard for some reason. Okay, so let's go into the black shadow now, and I'm going to use that to deepen up the crease width. So I'm first just going to start off by packing this in the outer corner, and then after that I'm going to go ahead and bring it through my crease slightly. And I forgot how pigmented this black is. And I'm really happy we're doing this because I haven't really had a chance to play with my single shadows in a while, and it's nice to kind of be able to dip into it, and I really enjoy, you know, making my own little color stories and palettes, and it's such a good time. It's one of my favorite things to do, but sometimes I feel a little bit restricted in the content that I can make because I do so many review videos that I simply don't have enough days in a week, even though I post almost every day, to actually be able to sit down and play with my singles, because there are so many other things that I, you know, prioritize filming with first, that it's nice to sometimes just do something like this. So let me know if you want to see me do, you know, similar things to this in the future, because I would love to do so. Like, that would be so much fun. I can even just do like a Q&A or something, just answering your questions while doing looks. Like, is that something you want to see? Let me know what kind of content you feel like I can make using my single shadows that would still be interesting and not make you feel like you need to buy whatever I'm using, if that makes sense. So I do want this to be quite a dramatic look, so I'm going to go ahead and take this down to my lower lash line as well. Sorry if this isn't really like a tutorial, but that's not what this video is supposed to be about at all. And if you're from Melissa's channel, I'm sorry that I am so chatty in this video. I'm usually not like this, so if you like that I am chatty, you might not like my other videos, but I hope you'll stick around because, like I said before, we do such similar content on our channels that I feel like you're probably going to like my channel as well. Just gonna take that brush that I used to first blend out the green with, and I'm gonna just run this through my crease and make sure that both of these colors are blended nicely. So is it weird that I don't even know what brand shadows I'm using right now, because I just picked them out of my Z palettes and I didn't really want to look at the brands because the brands don't matter, you know? Like, I picked out the color story that I wanted, and this is just kind of what I ended up with. So let's start by going in with some of the shimmers now. So I'm first going to take this one right here, which I kind of want to look at what this is. I feel like this is a Glaminatrix shadow. Let me see. Oh, so this is from Cosmic Turtle Cosmetics. So I'm going to use this one. It's it's funny. It's called Cosmic Turtle. So I guess this is like their brand shadow. They were so kind to actually send me a lot of shadows to try out, and I still haven't tried out all of them. So I'm excited to try out another one. And I'm going to be putting that on about the middle of my lid here, just overlapping it a little bit with the black that I have on the outer corner. This is such a beautiful shadow. So I've not been in the mood at all to do cut creases lately. I don't know what it is, but sometimes I go through phases where I'm like, I just cannot be bothered right now, because why would I? You know what I mean? Is anyone else like this? Sometimes I just want to do very basic like shapes with my eye looks, and other times I just want to do everything crazy that I possibly can and make like crazy dots on my eyes and stuff. But right now I've just been in kind of like a funk where I seem to do the same eye look all the time. Not with the same colors, but you know what I mean. Like, I'll do some pretty basic looks where I don't have to do any cut creases and stuff, and I've kind of been liking it. So that's kind of where I'm at now. So I'm gonna next go into, you know what, I'm so curious to see when I'm editing this how different I'm going to be after I've had some wine compared to what I'm usually like, because I feel like I've been very chatty in this video. So I'm next gonna go into this red shadow right here, which is a red shimmer, and I'm gonna put that in the inner part of my lid here. I've actually never used this shadow before. This is really, really pretty. Wow, that is not at all what I thought it was going to be. I mean, I knew it was going to be a red shimmer, but I didn't think it was going to be this red and this vibrant. That is actually beautiful. So I'm just gently going to fade this over the green now. It's going to probably get a little bit muddy, but that's okay. Leaving just a little bit of room in my inner corner because I'm going to go in with that yellow shimmer. And for the last shadow, I'm going to go into this yellow shimmer, which I'm pretty sure is from Glaminatrix. Yeah, this one is from Glaminatrix. So I have done a review on this brand. If you want to see that, I will link that up in the corner for you. But some of their shimmer shadows are just absolutely stunning. So I'm just gently going to blend this into the red now, kind of creating a bit of a orange gradient. And I'm also going to go ahead and just wrap this down to my lower lash line. So I really like how the yellow kind of brightens up a look a bit, but I still feel like this is very Christmassy now that I look at it. It's like red and green and gold. That's kind of Christmassy, but it's okay. So I think this is where I'm at with the shadows now. I think I'm happy with this. I like how this is looking, so I'm gonna go ahead and put some yellow in my waterline. This is Punched by Colourpop. Gonna find a lipstick to wear with this, and then I'll be back to show you the completed look, and we can talk a little bit more before we get into the second look. So here is the completed look. My lipstick is from someone who shall not be named, so I will list it down in the description box if you want to see. So yeah, this is going to be look number 1, inspired by poker, inspired by London, mostly inspired by poker. I honestly really like how this turned out. I think this turned out pretty good considering that I had a glass of wine before filming this. So, you know, maybe I know how to do wine. No, maybe I know how to do makeup while drinking wine. Do you want me to make makeup and wine a thing on my channel? Do you want to see that? Am I just being absolutely retarded right now? I could be. Let me know if I am. I'd love to know. No, actually I don't want to know. If you like it, let me know down below. If you don't, don't say anything. Let's just move into look number 2. I have yet to decide where I want to take inspiration from the second look, but I'll figure it out by that time. So let's move into look number 2. Okay, hello! I don't have any wine today, but we're still gonna be doing some eyeshadow, so I really don't know how I was like last night. For you guys, it wasn't last night, it was obviously 2 seconds ago, so I can't wait to edit this video. For the second look, I'm going to be taking inspiration from a place that actually was not a poker trip, and that is something that was very unusual for me. I have not traveled to a lot of places where the first intention of the trip was not to play poker, so this is actually a trip that my husband and I took to Hawaii, and we went in, when was this? 2014 possibly? We've been twice, so I'll touch on both trips as we go along, but for the color story that I've chosen for this, it's going to be very bright because when I think of Hawaii, it reminds me of sun, it reminds me of beach, it reminds me of water, and also the reason why I put in this pink here is because we went to a luau there, and when you go to a luau, you get these leis, which is basically like a flower kind of necklace thing that you wear, and they were all pink, and that was like the first thing that I thought of when, you know, I thought of Hawaii. I was like, which color should I put in? So this is the color story that I came up with. Just like in the first look, I will pop a picture up on the screen for you so you can see where these shadows are from. Now I do have 2 shadows here from Gimme Glow Cosmetics. I've never tried these before. I haven't tried the brand, so this is also going to be a bit of a first impression. So I am so excited to try out these shadows. I mean, this color story is just so me. So I can't wait to put these on my eyes. So I'm gonna have a think about what I'm gonna do because I clearly did not prepare that much. So I'm gonna do that and then I'll come back and then we can get into this. Okay, so let's start off now. I'm going to start by tucking the shadow in my inner part of my crease here. So the first time we went to Hawaii, this was after my husband had a big score in a, he was doing a lot of sports betting at the time, and he ended up winning, or not winning, but it was one of those sports betting leagues that you could do online, and he ended up winning quite a bit of money. And we decided that we wanted to go to Hawaii to treat ourselves because if you haven't been to Hawaii, especially Maui, it's super expensive to go on vacation there and actually stay at like the nice resorts that you hear all about in the media and stuff, and it's just a really expensive place if you want to stay at the well-known resorts. So we ended up staying at a place that wasn't like a super well-known resort. It was called Hotel Wailea, I think, and it was a very quiet kind of place. There wasn't a lot of kids and stuff, and that was one of the reasons why we decided to go with that one, because we wanted it to be more of a chill vacation and more of like a grown-up spot, because I'm not a huge fan of going somewhere where, you know, if you're going in a pool, you have like kids walking around splashing you everywhere and it's just really loud, and we wanted a very quiet vacation. So that's where we decided to stay the first time. So obviously we didn't really know much about Hawaii that time around, so we had a lot of exploring to do, and we walked around a lot just kind of seeing what was on the island, and it was just amazing, like the scenery and everything. It was like everything was like it was taken out of a picture, out of like a wallpaper, you know. Everything was so beautiful. The weather was great for the most part. We had a couple of rain showers, but that's pretty common there, so it's not really something that bothered us too much, or wow, that shadow is so pigmented, or ruined our vacation at all. We kind of just like brought umbrellas with us everywhere. But the beaches there are so freaking beautiful. One of the most fun things that we did on our trip was to go on a big zipline tour, and oh my god, it's one of the coolest things that I think I've ever done in my whole life. So basically you go there and they like show you obviously like how everything works and stuff, and then you go on this long line of zip lines which are all kind of connected together, and they go from like mountain to mountain to mountain, and then the views that you have of the ocean and everything, it's just unbelievable. I don't think I have any photos really from that, but I will see if I can pop some up. But holy crap, like the views that we had were just out of this world, and thankfully I'm not very afraid of heights because that would have been terrifying if I was, but that was such a cool thing to do, and probably not something that I'll ever be able to do again ever in my life. So I'm so thankful that we were able to go on that trip and really see what Hawaii has to offer. And I don't know if you guys watched one of Raw Beauty Christie's video a while back where she was talking about how just being in Hawaii really made her just feel better physically, mentally, everything. And there's just, it's almost like there's something in the air in Hawaii that just makes you feel so good. I don't know, it's really, really hard to explain, but I felt so relaxed the whole time I was there, and there's something about just like the atmosphere, and everybody is so chill, everyone is really nice. The food there is absolutely amazing. The seafood that they have, holy crap, like I love me good fish, and they have some of the best fish that I've ever tried in my whole entire life. And one thing that I got to taste there for the first time when we went to a luau. I don't know if you know what a luau is, but basically it's almost like a big buffet of just a lot of local food that is made on the spot. They like have a whole pig that they bury in the sand, and then they like, I don't know if they roast it or whatever happens down there, but they like make this pig and they pull it out, and you get to see like the whole pig laid out on the floor, and they take all the meat out of it, and it's really cool. Obviously they have a bunch of them made up like in the back as well so they can feed everybody, but that is like the main course obviously at the luau is the pig. And they had so many cool traditional dishes that I'd never seen, and one of the things that I got absolutely hooked on, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but this is the purple Hawaiian sweet potato. It's called the Okinawan sweet potato, I think. It's purple, and it's not like the purple sweet potatoes that you can get in the store here in the States or really anywhere. These are so different. Like they almost have like a kind of white outside, but then on the inside they're purple, and they're so much starchier and just like chewier than regular sweet potatoes. They are so freaking good. I remember after coming back home from that trip, I looked everywhere to see if I can find any of those potatoes, and I couldn't. And the last place that I looked was on Amazon. And for like the next 2 years, I ordered purple sweet potatoes on Amazon because I have a problem. They were just so good. I mean, I was addicted. So I basically did that until the next time we went back to Hawaii on our trip. I don't remember why we went on the trip that time. I don't think anything special had happened, but we hadn't gone on vacation for a very long time, and we decided to treat ourselves to go back to Hawaii for a second time. And this time we decided to splurge on a bit of a more expensive resort, if you will. So we ended up staying at Andaz, which is, oh my god, it's the most beautiful place that I think I've ever seen in my entire life. I will try to find some pictures for you guys and show you, but just believe me when I say that it's the kind of place you go to on vacation, but then you see the resort and you don't want to leave the resort because it's just so beautiful. So most of that trip was basically us just staying at the resort and just, you know, having a good time. So I'm going in with the pink now. I'm not sure if this is going to be a good idea or not, but I kind of want to make a bit of a purple to pink gradient right up in my crease here. I just kind of want to try it and see what happens. And so one of the best things about that trip, like I said, was the resort. And every morning we went down to the breakfast buffet, and I have never seen a breakfast buffet like that in my whole entire life. Like the amount of different kinds of food that they had, anything from like savory food to sweets to pancakes, and it was all just like very traditional Hawaiian food, and it was just so fantastic. I remember my husband and I were just so excited to wake up in the morning just to go down to the breakfast buffet, and then all we wanted to do after was just lay at the pool and get rid of the food coma for the rest of the day because we ended up eating so much for breakfast every day, and it was just it was fantastic. I want to go back to Hawaii again so badly because it's probably the most fun place that I think I've ever been to. It's a very unique place. And speaking of unique, one of the most unique experiences I've ever had in my life. Now, I am not really a water kind of person, so for me to go do any kind of water activities, it really scares me a little bit because I'm not a good swimmer. But we decided to go on a submarine tour, which was, oh my god, like that is not something that I thought I would ever get a chance to do, so I literally could not pass on that. And let me tell you, it was so cool. And it was kind of scary at the same time, but it's amazing how safe I felt being inside of a submarine compared to how I feel being on a boat on top of the water. Like, I don't know if I can even really explain that to anybody because it doesn't make sense. But just being inside of the submarine, and I think we were 130 feet under the water, so we were like really, really low down. And there were like the shipwreck that they took us to. We could see like the boat. We could see all the fish that were swimming around, and it was just so cool. The only thing that was really annoying was the people next to us because they were really obnoxious and just not fun people to have right next to us when we're trapped in a submarine 130 feet under the water. But other than that, it was such a cool experience, and if any of you ever get a chance to go on a submarine, I would highly, highly recommend doing so, even if you're scared of water, because I mean, you don't really ever go in the water anyway. It's not like you get wet, so it wasn't really that scary for me. It was just such a cool thing to have done. So I'm kind of liking how this is looking. And I really like how these colors are blending together. I think that looks so pretty. I'm then going to take my Glaminatrix shadow, which is just, oh, it's such a beautiful blue. This one is called High Seas, and I'm going to put that in the middle of my lid, and then for the rest of my lid I'm going to go in with that yellow shimmer. So another thing that was really funny about just Hawaii in general was the airport, because when you go to the airport or even when you arrive at the airport and you go to wait for your luggage, there's not really any kind of like security or passport control or anything like that, because you always need to have a layover like in the States. And then when you get there, basically like the whole airport is almost like it's outside. Like the doors are open, wide open. People could literally just walk in and like grab your suitcase if they wanted to. Like there's no security. And it was so weird to just like come to the airport and have everything be so chill. Like I'm so used to everything always being like so secure and people being so careful and stuck up about everything at airports, but it was just nice. Like even the minute you come to the airport, you just feel like there's something about the Hawaii people. I don't know what it is, but it's just like the whole atmosphere in Hawaii, everyone is just like so carefree, you know, like nobody really cares about anything. It seems like people just trust each other and there's just no worries at all, and I really like that about the place. And I'm really liking this look so far. So I'm going to go ahead and go into that yellow now. Just going to place that on the rest of my lid here. I love that it mixes into the blue and it becomes a bit of a green right here. That was so beautiful. So just because I can to finish this off, I'm going to use my Milani eyeshadow topper. And this is in the shade, wait, what is this called? Electric Forest. And I'm going to pop a little bit of this just on the inner part of my lower lash line here. That is so pretty. And I think that is all I want to do in my eyes. I really like how this look is looking, so I don't want to mess this up by putting something in my waterline that shouldn't be there. So what should I do? What would be like playing it the most safe? I feel like I should just go in with like this one right here and kind of just tie it all together. I could also do something like a dark blue possibly. Even this one by LA Girl could be kind of nice. Maybe that's what I'll do. Is that a little bit too bright? Maybe I'll do something a bit darker. Ooh, what about Deep End by Urban Decay? That's definitely the one that I'm going to use. So I'm going to pop this in my waterline, put on a lipstick, some liner mascara, and then I'll be right back and show you the completed look. I feel like I'm going to love this look because I already love this look, so I'll be right back. So this is the finished look. I am quite obsessed. This could definitely be in my top 3 looks that I've ever done. I think I love the color combination. I love how everything blended in together. There is no harsh lines. Everything just looks really nice and smooth and melted together, and I love it. So for lipstick, I used Flat Out Fabulous by MAC. This is one of their retro mattes, I believe. And I feel like this really looks good with this look. So that is going to be it for my Hawaii trip, so stay tuned for the next one, which is probably going to be Melbourne, which I know that Melissa's probably going to be happy about because she's from Australia. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's look. Let me know what you think. I absolutely love this. I have no shame. I think this looks beautiful. So yeah, I will see you in a bit for look number 3. Okay, it's time for the last look, and I think this is the look that I am the most excited about sharing about because this is probably my favorite place that I've ever been to, and this is Melbourne. And I have been to Melbourne now, I want to say 6 times. I've been many times, and the reasons why I've been so many times is that, see, this is why I wanted to start off with London with my poker story, because Australia has one of the biggest tournaments in the world in January every single year, and that is why I have traveled to Melbourne so many times to go play in that tournament. So every time I've been in January, and the weather in January is amazing. It's like in the middle of the summer there. It's absolutely beautiful. So the colors that I have picked out to kind of represent Melbourne, this was kind of hard because there's just so much going on in Melbourne that I literally could pick everything. So here's what I ended up with, and I will explain to you why. So the greens, basically I wanted to pick the greens because it's a very kind of green city. There's a lot of parks, hence the brown, which I wanted to add in something that had to do with brown. I don't know why. I just kind of thought of like trees and parks and stuff when I thought of Melbourne, but at the same time Melbourne is also a very industrial city. There's a lot of big buildings, and that's where the kind of silver came in. And for the blue, this is going to be very random, but my husband and I have been to the Australian Open many times, which is the tennis tournament they have there, and like the ground that they play on is blue, so I just kind of thought of blue. So this was the blue that I had in my collection that I felt like was the most similar to that blue, I guess. So this is kind of what we're working with. I think this is kind of a cool color story. I sort of have an idea of what I want to do, I think, but I don't really know how I'll be able to execute it, but I think we should just get into doing this. I've already primed. So the first 2 times that I went to Melbourne, I actually went all by myself, and I didn't really have a lot of friends that I knew there, I mean, that weren't poker players, so I honestly didn't really do much except just stay at the hotel and play poker, which is kind of sad, but the hotel there, or the casino that they have there, is also a big hotel. It's called the Crown Casino, and it is such a beautiful casino that I didn't really feel like I was missing out on too much the 2 times that I did that, because I was just having such a blast just hanging out around the casino area and stuff. And I also did end up going to one of the tennis matches at the Australian Open because some of the people who worked at the poker room there offered us tickets to the tennis matches, and I kind of just fell in love with the game. It's not something that, I've said before, I'm not really like super into sports, so for me to go to like some random tennis tournament was kind of weird, but even after the first time I went, I just fell in love with the game, and I thought it was so much fun to watch. And I like sports that have individual people rather than teams, because I want to feel connected to the people who are playing the game, so that I have kind of more of a reason to root for them, if that makes sense. Like, I want to have that special connection with them that makes me want to cheer for them. So that's kind of why I really wanted to put in something that was tennis related in this as well, because it's one of the things that I love to do the most when in Australia, especially in Melbourne. Now, I've only really been to Melbourne in Australia, so I would have loved to go other places, but like I said, we always went for the poker tournaments, or I know I keep saying we, but the last 4 years that I did go with my husband, so that's why I keep saying we. So the times that I went with my husband, we actually did get an Airbnb at least 3 times. The last 3 times we went, we got an Airbnb. First time with a couple of friends of ours, and then the other 2 times we went by ourselves and got an Airbnb. And it's just such a good time. There's so much to do in Melbourne. I love the big cities. I'm such a city girl. Like, I really like to be around people, even if I'm kind of an introvert when I'm alone. But like, being around a lot of people where I'm just like observing people, I like that. I don't necessarily like to be in social situations, but being surrounded by people, I don't mind that at all. So I think that's one of like the things that draw me into Melbourne, because it is a very packed city with a lot of people and a lot of things going on, and I really enjoy like the city atmosphere. But then you also have like the parks and stuff, like I said, and there's places that you can go to kind of escape. There's also a lot of beaches, and it's just a beautiful city overall. I think one of my favorite things about Melbourne, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but they have the best coffee. Like, I'm such a coffee snob, but I really, really enjoy the coffee they have there. Like, if you don't like strong coffee, you would probably hate it, but Their long blacks are just everything. I could literally drink them all day and they're so good. And they also have the most amazing breakfast, and I love that every restaurant there will serve breakfast until probably like 2 p.m. Like, it's great. You can literally get breakfast at almost any time of the day, and breakfast is my favorite meal of the day, which is probably why I appreciate that so much, because I could eat breakfast for every single meal and just be super happy about it, because I love breakfast. So I'm gonna go ahead and wing this out quite a bit here. So funny story while we're talking about food. So I know I've told you guys that my cat's name is Churro, and the reason why his name is Churro is actually because my husband and I discovered these churros in Australia. It was at the night market, the Victoria night market is called, and they have freshly made churros, like literally out of the deep fryer, and they come with different dipping sauces, and they are just the most fantastic things that you will ever taste in your whole life. Even if you're not really a fan of churros, like, you would love these. Like, I have never met anybody that we took that did not love these churros, and that is where the name Churro came from, because we actually got our cat after we got back from our last Australia trip, which was January 16, I want to say. Maybe it was 17. It was probably 17, so it's been like 2 years now since the cat is 2 years, so that makes sense. But yeah, we were just like so obsessed with the churros that we wanted to name the cat Churros. And we even kind of planned our trip, the last trip, around being able to go to the market enough time so we could go eat churros. So the market was on a Wednesday night, and we decided that we wanted to make sure we had exactly 3 Wednesdays, so we would like come on a Tuesday and leave on a Thursday, because we wanted to get churros as many times as possible. And that night market was just so much fun. They had so much amazing food. Can you tell I like food? I'm obsessed with food. I cannot help it. And they really do have such amazing food in Melbourne. They have anything you can imagine. We went to this one place for breakfast, and I got these, they were called protein pancakes, but I don't think there was actually much protein in them, but they had a picture on the menu of them, and I was like, oh my god, that looks so good, so I tried them, and they were probably the best pancakes I've ever had in my life. They were so, so, so good. One thing that I absolutely love about Australia is that everybody is so nice. It's almost like being in Canada. I mean, Canadians are known to be like some of the nicest people around, and that is no joke, because I've been to Canada a few times, and like the cars will basically stop for you even if you don't plan on crossing the streets, and they're just like standing there waiting for you to cross even if you don't want to. It's like, yeah, go ahead, cross the street, like, it's okay, I'll wait for you. Like, they're just overly nice and polite, and it's kind of crazy. And I almost feel the same way about Australians. Australians are always just like super friendly, super inviting. Everybody just wants you to be happy, and I don't know, maybe it's just the people that I have met, but I've always had a really good experience with interacting with Australian people. Maybe why I like Prue so much, you know? So speaking of friendly people, I know I said I haven't really been to a lot of places in Australia other than Melbourne, but we actually went to New Zealand during one of our Melbourne trips. We decided to fly out there for a couple of days just to kind of explore. And let me tell you, New Zealand is one of the most beautiful places that I think I've ever been. I mean, it's just such a beautiful and very scenic place. I mean, everywhere you go, it's just so pretty. We actually went on a beautiful hike there, which I can't remember the name of that hike. Let me see if I can find that, because I want to share with you guys where this was. So it says it's called the Tasman National Park, and it's in Nelson, or close to Nelson. See, I am so bad at remembering like the places or the names of the places that I've been to and what everything is called, but holy shit, that hike was so pretty. Basically, it was like almost like hiking in the middle of the woods, but at the same time you were like right near the water, but then you'd have like the trees on one side and the water on the other side. And once you got a little bit further into the hike, there was this place. It was literally like in the middle of the woods, and then you would have to cross this giant long bridge. And being in the middle of that bridge and like just being in that moment, I don't think I've ever felt more just happy. And it was such a cool experience. It's really something that you only see on TV, and it's a beautiful moment, honestly. I'll see if I can find some pictures of the place that I'm talking about. I don't think I actually have any from our trip that I took myself, because I lost my phone after a couple of years of using it, and I had so many photos on it, and I'd forgotten like to back it up, and I lost all the photos that I had. That's kind of what happens when you don't have like an actual camera like people used to have in the past, you know, walking around with cameras and then having to print all the photos. Those were the good old days. Like I kind of miss having digital photos, not digital photos, but the opposite. What's the opposite of digital photos? Like paper photos? I don't know, but I kind of miss that. Like my mom has so many of me growing up in like my childhood, and like she always used to save all of the photos from everywhere, and I kind of wish that I had something that I could just like flip through and look at photos. Like that would be so much fun, but I guess that's not where we are going these days. So I'd love to know if you guys have been to any of the places that I'm talking about and what exactly it is that you remember from those places. Like what is it that stands out? What exactly is it that when you go on a vacation that you remember that you take with you? Because like I said, I have pretty bad memory, so like the things that kind of stand out to me are the things that obviously I enjoyed the most and that I had a very, very big impression of, if that makes sense. So the small things I kind of tend to forget about, but if there's like an experience that I've had or a moment in an experience, which is mostly what I remember, I don't always remember like the whole experience of something. Like that's the hike that we went on. Like I know we went on like a boat to get to where we were supposed to go hiking, but I don't remember like the people that were on the boat or like where the boat left from, how long the boat ride took. I just know that we went on a boat and then we went on a hike, you know what I mean? Like I tend to forget like very small details, so I'd love to know how much you guys remember from like experiences that you have had in places that you have visited. Am I alone in like kind of forgetting like the details about things because I just don't talk about it very much? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know if I'm not as alone as I feel in this. Gonna go into this green shade here by Glaminatrix. This one is called Meadow. So yeah, I'm sitting here hoping I didn't do any of these places injustice just because I don't feel like I've remembered everything I would like to remember from the trips that we have been on. But it's okay. Maybe next time I go on vacation I need to bring like a diary or something and just like start writing things down because I feel bad about forgetting stuff all the time that I want to remember but that my brain just goes, nope. So I'm kind of liking how this is a bit of a different kind of look. I don't think I've done a look with like this kind of color placement before. I don't know. Kind of digging this. I've honestly really liked all of the looks that I've done in this video. They've been some of my favorite looks that I've done in a very long time. Alright, I'm going to take that last shadow now, which is the silver. And I'm going to be putting that in the inner part of my lid here. So I don't know what I want to do for the rest of my lower lash line. I haven't really thought of that. I think I'm just going to go back in with that green shadow. So I think this is all I want to do for my eyeshadow. I'm going to finish up the rest of my eyes. So I'm going to put Electric by LA Girl in my waterline, do some liner mascara, then I'll come back and we can talk a little bit more before closing this off. Okay, so here is the completed look, except I forgot that I have mascara on my lid and I need to remove that. So let me just scrape this off real quick. I feel like I always forget to do this. Sometimes I even like will do close-ups and then I'll look back at the footage later and be like, shit. Okay, I think that looks good. So this is going to be the completed look. So for my lips today, I used Ludwig by Kat Von D, and then on top of that I used an ABH gloss, and this is in the shade Pearl. I really like these mini glosses. I really like the ABH glosses in general. I feel like they're kind of underrated. So that is going to be the 3 looks from 3 places that I have been to. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was probably very long. I can't imagine being able to edit this down to less than 45 minutes maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll be less than that. But thank you so much to you, Melissa, for wanting to do this collab with me. This was so much fun. If you guys haven't already checked out Melissa's channel, please go ahead and do so. I think you guys are going to really, really like her. If you like this collab, I have done a lot of collabs on my channel, so I'll pop some up on the screen for you to check out. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing and become part of my family, and hopefully I will see you all in my next one.